Hello and welcome. It's The Chat. I am Manny. My guest on the program, Georg Eder, is an Austrian who arrived in Nigeria on the 15th of April, 1976. And he has not returned to Austria since then. Why?
Georg Eder is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Avsatel Communications Limited, a telecommunications and engineering company. He is an experienced private pilot, an Austrian who has resided in Nigeria for over 40 years. Born in 1946 in the Austrian state of Tyrol, Georg attended elementary and secondary school in his hometown, Tyrol. After completing secondary school, he proceeded to serve in the Austrian army. Still, on a quest for knowledge, Georg further obtained a Master of Economics and Business Administration from Vienna University of World Commerce and the European Institute for Business Administration, France. Georg got a head start in his career working with Steyr Daimler Puch, an Austrian automobile manufacturing company. During this time, he worked as the export sales manager, overseeing the sales of commercial vehicles and agricultural tractors in Eastern Europe and Austria. He spent 2 years on the job until he was transferred to serve as the Managing Director of Steyr Nigeria Limited, where he supervised the setup and management of the company's commercial vehicles and agricultural tractors assembly industry. Georg's service to the Steyr company came to an end 5 years later, as he went on to become the director of the Expoma, an Austrian export marketing and project development company. He worked with the company for 18 years. Embracing the entrepreneurship drive, Georg established his own company, Avsatel Communications Limited, a company focused on providing integrated solutions for better communication in the aviation industry. Georg is a sports enthusiast who loves tennis and skiing. He is married and has 2 children.
Welcome to the program, Georg.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
I know that you arrived here in 1976.
Yeah.
At 15th of April, to be precise.
Exactly.
What was your mission?
My mission was to build, first of all, to conclude and to build Steyr Nigeria in Bauchi. In fact, at the early, very, very early stages, it was planned to be built in Jos. But when then the Bauchi state was, after the assassination of Murtala, I came in April, Murtala was assassinated in February.
Yes.
And then out of the northeastern states, Gongola, Borno and Bauchi states were carved out, and to industrialize as well. These newly, founded states, some industries were moved into the new states. Jos had already a very excellent mining industry. So General Obasanjo, who was the head of state at that time, said, no more Jos, Bauchi.
Why did he say so?
Why?
Yeah.
To as well bring industrialization and employment to Bauchi. Bauchi was in the middle of nowhere at that time. And Jos was already doing very well, with the mining industries, with the tin mining industry, with the Nigerian Mining Corporation. And in Jos, there was continuous power. In Jos, the mining and the infrastructure really functioned. In Bauchi, stone throw away, there was nothing. And so General Obasanjo at that time said, rightly, we have to bring industries into Bauchi and as well into the other newly founded states, Borno, Gongola state, and so on. And I was part of it when,
so
when he moved us.
what was your impression? It was your first time in Nigeria, wasn't it?
Yes.
What was your impression the first time you arrived?
You know, when I arrived in Nigeria, Nigeria had 70 million inhabitants.
70
now
million
we are more than
population.
200 million. Yeah. And it was a challenge to build the industries in remote areas.
So
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute.
And since then, you know, George, you have never returned to Austria.
No. Yes, on a holiday, yes. To see my parents, to see my father, now to see our children, yes, otherwise no.
When you finished working for Steyr,
Yeah.
you were supposed to return to Austria. What happened?
I had a very attractive offer to go back to Steyr in Austria, but my wife and myself decided we are closer to Nigeria than to Steyr, so we remained in Nigeria and started building up our own companies.
You have lived here for over 40 years.
44 years.
44 years.
By the way, almost exactly 44 years.
Really?
43 years and 11 months.
How would you describe the people you have lived with?
Excellent, open-minded, yeah, and we are, you know, happy and open-minded as well to receive know-how, to work, to cooperate. It really was great.
Steyr suddenly went out of focus in Nigeria. What happened?
It did not go out suddenly of focus. It is wrong to blame Nigeria alone. Yeah. It is a two-sided story between Steyr, Austria and the Nigerian side. On one hand, which is, by the way, the case as well nowadays, the protection of local industries was weakened, if not even lifted. That opened floodgates for Tokunbo vehicles to come in. Yeah, old vehicles which are not certified in Europe anymore, they were all dumped at mini prices to Nigeria, but at no use. So, that is one side. Of course, a locally built industry could not compete against such cheap, Tokunbo obsolete vehicles. That is one side, and specifically now, and that is what I said applies to Fiat, Leyland, and Daimler-Benz. But specifically concerning Steyr, Austria was as well split.
Now, have you been to Bauchi lately, where the Steyr plant is?
Yeah.
What do you find there?
For me, it's pathetic to see that the plant is on standstill, to cut a long story short.
Is on standstill?
Yeah, practically. There's some small movements here or there, but nothing else. It's a huge plant at 42,000 square meters under the roof, which is 3 soccer fields under one roof.
The size of 3 soccer fields?
Yes. Since decades already.
Now, when you left Steyr, what did you go on to do here in Nigeria, since you didn't go back to
You know,
Austria?
even before I worked with Steyr, I was a pilot. I was piloting for more than 50 years, never professionally, but I had all qualifications in multi-engine and in instrument flying. So obviously, when I was with Steyr, I flew everything myself between Lagos and Bauchi in small single and twin engine aircraft, and I saw the needs and of the aviation industry in Nigeria, and that was built. This is what built our bridge to what we are doing now, to aviation infrastructure. That means aviation electronics, ground-to-air communication, navigation, and meteorology. This is the logic, continuation of what I always did before.
So what are you doing now?
We are
You're into communications.
no, we are being
telecommunications.
aeronautical installations.
Okay.
Yeah, aeronautical electronic installations, ground-to-air communication, radio communication, safety critical installations on the communication fields, and meteorology, which is a very, very challenging field in here, and navigational aids to help the pilots on the electronic sides, not on the direct flying sides.
You have done business.
That's what I did myself.
You have done businesses here in aviation,
Yeah.
in agriculture, in
No,
marketing, exports, communications.
No.
You alone.
No, I only did, when I say business, I don't say that it was business. We are always, in whatever we do, even in Steyr at that time, we always provide our clients with a package which consists of top quality products and support services. I'm employing some 40 people in here for maintaining what we do, both on the fire service side as well as on the aviation side. We train people. Yeah, I trained hundreds of staff of the aviation industry. Yeah, just to maintain and to operate.
Are there any Nigerians working in your office in Austria?
Not in Austria, but in here we are only 2 expatriates.
Yeah, the rest are Nigerians.
Of course. Yeah.
Is it easy to do business here in Nigeria? What do you think?
No, it's not easy for the time.
Why?
Now,
What are the challenges?
presently, I would tell you as fairy tales if you had told me it's easy. It's certainly not easy. The challenges are to persuade our clients of the value of quality. Because nowadays everybody can, I'm sorry to say, dump into Nigeria whatever he wants. Yeah. On the vehicle side, look at all these Tokunbo vehicles. On the as well on some aviation related.
Why are you so insistent on Tokunbo vehicles? Did you not ride one while you're here?
Never. Never.
So you came with
I prefer going by foot.
So, you came with your vehicle from Austria, right?
No, when I was here, I bought a Peugeot from the Peugeot factory in Kaduna. Yeah, because local industries, it starts with yourself. Yeah.
What do you think about Inolsin, motors?
I know the name. Yeah, I cannot judge about Innoson's factory and performances. I cannot judge about Innoson technically. Commercially, I must say he is doing wonderfully to build vehicles locally in Nigeria. What he needs is protection from government.
Okay, excellent. Now, what you have done is work for the military in Nigeria and the civilians right now. In comparison, doing business, is it much easier doing business with the military or the civilians?
In terms of administrative hurdles, it was easier under the military. Yeah, because the administrative hurdles nowadays are so numerous, that things are delayed to the degree that it's, getting, in many aspects, too late.
You had a ride with the late General Mr. Eder, on one of the stair trucks.
Yeah.
What happened? Tell me the story.
He was kind enough to commission the plant in Bauchi. Yeah. And he inside, he drove out the first truck from the plant to the public. And I was with him in the truck. He drove, I was sitting there. And I was very happy to be there.
You pick a question and answer the question. There you go. There you go. So,
which Nigerian culture does fascinate you and why? The music.
which Nigerian culture that fascinates you and
Yes, why?
And you say
The music. Yes. I love the instruments. I love the locally made instruments. I love, on one hand, the late Fela's music, but as well normal Nigerian traditional music, played on Nigerian instruments.
Have you started?
I love Nigerian rice. I'm not buying any rice which is imported, even though you see some still on the shelves. Yeah, I love when I see made in Nigeria.
Why do you love Nigerian rice?
Because first of all, it tastes very well, and secondly, I know it is grown in Kebbi or in Jigawa or whatever, wherever.
Is it cheap?
It's not a question of price, it is a question of persuasion that on the longer term, cost will go down. But of course, at the beginning, if you go into a new venture, the same thing certainly happened to Innocent, on the industrial side. The first steps are always the most expensive things. And the first products are always the most expensive ones. But one has to respect one thing, you are not selling the product alone. You are preparing, you're incurring costs to provide employment and to provide know-how. This is not only when you import, in all respect, from wherever rice, what is the Nigerian content? Nothing. When you import so-called Nigerian fruit juice, all that is in the Tetra Paks is the air between the filling cap and the thing.
Who cooks for you?
Our steward and my wife.
Your wife?
Yes, of course.
What kind of food?
I love Nigerian food as well,
You don't have to say it, but if you do love Nigerian food, which one?
Moi moi is one of my favorites.
Really?
Yes.
And so your wife can prepare that?
Yes, of course.
Really?
And, when our daughter, she grew up in Bauchi, came to Austria, and we went to a restaurant, and the waiter asked her, what would you like to eat? She said, egusi soup.
Really?
The waiter, of course, was looking at her like this.
What worries you most about Nigeria?
The growth rate of the population.
Why?
Because, why? Because infrastructure, food, has to grow with the population. And you can answer the question yourself when you look at, does it grow with the population? Question mark to you.
So what sort of assistance can Austria give to Nigeria with regards to growth?
Austria did a lot, in the past.
It's a very strong economy, isn't it?
We are a small country. The whole of Austria is Austria's population is 1/3 of the population of Lagos. It's a very small place.
Well, you found it easier doing business here and not in Austria?
Not necessarily. I found it, I like it in here because there are more challenges in here to do business. And
what are the kind of challenges?
I've told you, all possible hurdles you have to take day in, day out. What is missing is protection of local industries. That's the main headache. Yeah. Because if you protect the local industries, if you protect local production, then you create employment. And employment is certainly a key to education, to peace in the country.
Have you ever contemplated going back for any reasons at all?
I was offered after Steyr to go back, to move back and to take a top job in the industry, but I didn't.
In spite of the insecurity problems you have here, you have not been tempted to go back to Austria, have you?
You know, one always thinks, but it's not a matter of Austria, it is a matter of anybody living in Nigeria. Look how many Nigerians are tempted to go overseas, to move overseas.
What do you think is wrong with that?
Nothing. Nothing.
So
we have some top qualified Nigerians, in fact, working in Austria.
Let's even talk about your family.
Yeah.
You came in here with just your wife.
Yeah.
How many are you now?
Yeah, my wife and myself, but my children
were born over there?
Where our daughter came in here when she was, I think, 2 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
And now she's in Germany. She's a medical doctor in the University of Dresden. And our son is an economist.
Have you applied for a Nigerian passport?
We are not allowed to have double citizenships by law in Austria.
In Austria? Right, okay. If you had the opportunity, would you ever apply?
I would do so, yes, but as I said, we can't.
Where would you come from if you were to, be a Nigerian?
I would stay right in the middle and go to the seaside once in a while and go climb the mountains in Jos once in a while.
You're about to be cast away to a mountaintop,
yeah.
Right? For 10 days.
Yeah.
Now you're allowed to take 5 items. Not your wife, of course.
Yeah.
You know that. 5 items that will keep you company while you're there for 10 days.
Yes.
Okay, so you go ahead and let's know what these items are.
Some books.
Books?
Yes.
You read a lot?
No, I read as much as my time allows. Some music, classical music.
You love classical music?
Yes, and Nigerian music.
Which Nigerian music appeals to you?
Fela.
Fela?
Yeah.
Right.
I love, and this is what these 2 I would take along. Then some good shoes to walk around. And
So what else? 5, I said.
5, you said.
Yeah.
You said I am not allowed to take my children, but they're not items. Yeah.
Now.
Some documentaries, some documentary movies, yeah, on technical matters, on flying matters, yeah. And I may be taking my laptop along to have some communication.
Do you go to church?
Yes.
How often?
Once a week.
Once a week, yeah. Is it the normal Pentecostal
No,
or
no.
the Catholic? Or
Catholic, yeah.
Oh, you're Catholic?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Now, if you have a message for Nigerians, what would it be?
Always look forward.
To what?
To greater heights in terms of industrial independence. Yeah.
Do you see that? Do you see the possibility of a bigger, stronger Nigeria?
Absolutely, yes.
Why?
Yeah. Why? Because there's so many resources which are not even tapped. Yeah.
Georg Eder.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
being on the program. Yes?
Thank you.
Good to see you. And have a pleasant stay in Nigeria.
Thank you. I will continue. Thank you.
It's been The Chat, and my guest has been Georg Eder.
Yeah.
He's an Austrian, and he's not going back to Austria. It's been The Chat. I am Manny. See you next time.